I'm Jackie Rhodes. I'm one of the specialists here for the Debt Free for Life program with the Valdez team. And what I want to do is talk a little bit about, what are some ways that you can, refer Debt Free for Life cases, be it's an existing mortgage protection client that you've just enrolled, maybe it's an existing client, or maybe it's someone that you had a meeting with and it didn't go anywhere. There was no pain, they didn't have any need for mortgage protection. So one of the things that is key is as you're going through the needs analysis, one of the questions we ask is, what is your mortgage payment? We find that out. We also ask, how long is your mortgage? Most people do 30 years. Typically at that point, this is the first kind of bullet point when you're looking at qualifying a debt-free for life person is you want to ask them, are you planning on paying off your mortgage any earlier than 15 or 30 years? A lot of times you're going to have a client say, yeah. Did the bank tell you how to do that without refinancing? And if you make one extra payment a year on your principal, then that drops your note to 23 years. So what you're trying to establish is, do they want to pay their debt off faster than normal? Write that down, save it for later. There's other questions that we ask, what type of life insurance do you have? If something were to happen to you, what can you have that helps in a financial emergency? Make those notes. Go through your typical mortgage protection, and then once you've completed that sale, when you get to the end and you're packing your stuff up, thank you very much. I'm glad you let me take care of your family. One of the questions, or how I like to kind of segue into that, is by saying, by the way, you mentioned earlier that you're paying you want to pay your house off earlier. I work with. Part of what I do is I have a program that, essentially enables you to get out of all of your debt in as fast as 5 times earlier. That includes your home, your vehicles, your student loans, and all that. If you had a way to pay off all of your debts 2 to 5 times faster without changing anything that you're currently doing, is that something you'd want to know more about? And you're going to be surprised at how many people will say yes. Now, that can be said to existing mortgage protection, new clients, people you didn't sell, even people when you're calling and trying to schedule an appointment. I mean, sometimes you'll call somebody up who sent a lead in and they say, well, I've already taken care of that. Or I'm not interested in that. It doesn't hurt to say, well, let me ask you this. Another program that we do, which is separate from this, is we can get you completely out of debt in 2 to 5 times faster without you paying anything extra. Would you like to learn how that works? Once you get that, there's three specialists that are on our team currently. There's myself and a couple of others. You need to get them on a specialist Zoom link or Zoom call, and it typically depends on which specialist you're dealing with. But in my case, it's more along the lines of just reach out to me, find out when they want when your clients can have a Zoom for about an hour, and we will go over how it works, what it is, and see if they're a viable client. Now, what types of people are going to be good debt-free for life referrals? Primarily people who are paying extra on their debts. I mean, that's a question that's simple to ask. You mentioned you have, I know you have a mortgage, you've got a couple vehicles. Do you have more than one debt? That's a question to ask. The answer is probably generally going to be yes. Or do you typically pay more than the minimum each month to try to get out of debt? They're either going to say yes or no. If they say yes, and would you like to have that paid off, a lot faster than you can do on your own? Typically, if you have a yes to those 3 questions, another thing that will help is the Debt Free for Life program works with people that are in relatively good health. If you've got someone who has a lot of health conditions, maybe they're not quite tall enough for how much they weigh. Some other factors, those might not be the best candidates. So your typical debt-free for life candidate is going to be someone who is in relatively good health. Now we do have alternatives for that, but relatively good health. They are paying more on their existing debts, and they really have a need to want to get out of debt. Now, age-wise, you can do this on people, all the way up into their, mid to late 70s and 80s. But primarily your customers are going to be, your younger folks into their 50s and 60s. But to get on someone's calendar, it's just a matter of getting in touch with your specialist, finding out when they can meet with this individual, and then they will schedule a Zoom. They'll schedule a Zoom link with the client as well as you as the referring agent, and then we will kind of go through the program with them and show it how it works. So typically when you do a Debt Free for Life referral, you as the agent don't have to do anything except bring that person to the table. Your specialist is going to do the program, run the program. Your specialist is paying for the software to run it. Your specialist will walk this through the fully underwritten process. Your specialist is also going to put them in the software and then have the touch point of them over the next several years as their debts are being paid off. So the typical split is a 50-50 split. Now what does that mean? That means you get 50% of the commission just by referring someone. You don't have to do any of the other work. That's all done by your specialist.